Sup everybody, Thomas here, aka Restaurants Trainer, and welcome back to another one of my videos. So a while back, I saw a couple of Reddit posts discussing what if Pokemon games had difficulty options like easy, hard, etc. I thought it would be fun to throw my hat to the ring and see what ideas I could come up with for how it could work. Now, this isn't based on any generation in particular, though it probably best applies to Gen 6, 7 and maybe 5. Now the more well informed of you might be thinking something right now, didn't Gen 5 already try something like this? And you'd be right. Black 2 and White 2 had an easy mode and challenge mode, so you could unlock through Black and White 2's key system that you unlock after beating the game. However, it didn't change much, and I've even been told by a friend that the challenge mode was actually easier and that the easy mode was actually harder due to how it worked. Now the way it works is a little complicated, so I'll just leave the Wikipedia article on screen instead of explaining it to you, since quite frankly I don't know how. Now for this, I've come up with 17 different things that could be affected by the 4 difficulty options I've decided on. Easy, normal, hard, and master. I've also organised the 17 different things into 4 categories: XP, money, battling, and Pokemon. Now, I actually took some inspiration from Persona 5 and how it handles difficulty for a few of these. However, most of these I came up with on my own or just sound like obvious choices. Now with all that said and done, let's get started. I'll start with the XP changes first, of which there are only 3. First off will be how much XP a Pokemon gets. In easy mode, Pokemon get double the XP. In normal mode, the XP remains the same. In hard mode, the multiplier will be 0.75, and in master mode, you get only half the XP. The next thing I'll cover is the XP share. Now I know a lot of people have issue with the XP share, saying it makes the game too easy. However, I remember seeing a comment on the Reddit post that inspired this that I think sums it up pretty well. It doesn't make the game easier, it makes the game less grindy and time consuming. Though with that being said, I'll leave the XP share on in easy and normal mode, turn it off in master, but make it possible to switch on and off in hard mode. Now the last thing I thought of is XP bonuses. Now what do I mean by that? This applies to anything that boosts the amount of XP gained from battles. This includes the XP boost from foreign or traded Pokemon, the XP boost from Pokemon with high friendship, the XP boost from Pokemon who are above the level they evolve at, the XP boost from the Rotom Power or other gen equivalents, or the Lucky Egg. In easy mode, these bonuses will be doubled, while remaining the same in normal and hard mode. However, there won't be any bonuses in master mode. Next, I'll cover money changes, starting with how much money you obtain after battles. In easy mode, you obtain twice as much. In normal and hard, you get the same. But in master mode, multiplier is 0.75. Next, I'll cover how much money you lose when blacking out. In easy mode, you won't lose any money. In normal, you lose the same. In hard mode, you lose 15% more. And in master mode, you lose 25% more. Lastly, I'll be covering how much an item will cost or sell for. In easy mode, items will both cost and sell for 15% less. In normal mode, they remain the same. In hard mode, items will cost 15% more but sell for 25% more, and in master mode, they cost 20% more but sell for 50% more. Next, I'll cover any changes that are related to battling, same with Pokemon levels. Also, I won't include normal mode here, as the levels will just remain the same. Starting with wild Pokemon, in easy mode, Pokemon will be 1 to 3 levels lower. In hard mode, Pokemon will be 1 to 3 levels higher. As for trainer Pokemon, in easy mode, they're 2 to 3 levels lower, whereas in hard mode, they're 2 to 3 levels higher. Then there are important trainers. Now you might be wondering, what is an important trainer? Well, I've defined an important trainer as either a gym leader, a rival, an elite form member, a champion, an evil team admin, or an evil team leader. So basically any trainer with story significance. With that out of the way, in easy mode, Pokemon are 5 levels lower, whereas in hard mode, they're 5 levels higher. Now you'll notice that I left out Master Mode for each of these, and that's because I want to better explain my idea for how it will work. So in Master Mode, all Pokemon will scale to the player's party. Initially, all Pokemon will reset to their hard mode levels. Once you reach a certain level, all Pokemon will start increasing their own level. For example, let's say that a gym leader has a Pokemon that is normally level 45, and your strongest Pokemon is level 39. If you level it up to level 40, nothing will change. But if you level your Pokemon up again to level 41, then the gym leader's Pokemon will go up to level 46. This also applies to Pokemon that are a lower level, such as if a wild Hoppip is usually level 7 and your Pokemon is level 9. If you level up your Pokemon to level 10, then the Hoppips you encounter will now be level 8. This will prevent over-leveling, making Master Mode just that much harder, meaning you truly have to be a Pokemon Master in order to beat it. With all that explained, wild Pokemon will be 2 levels lower on early routes and 5 levels lower on later routes. Trainer Pokemon will be 2 levels lower, and important trainers will be 5 levels higher. The next thing I'll cover are TMs. Some of you are probably wondering, how on earth could TMs be affected by difficulty? It's simple really. Nothing would change on easy and normal mode. However, on hard and master mode, TMs will go back to their roots of being single use. Once you stick to Pokemon a TM, it's gone. Another idea I had was actually with held items. Once again, nothing will change on easy and normal mode, but on hard mode, you can't use any held items, and any Pokemon you catch that is carrying a held item will be placed in your bag automatically. Now in master mode, you still can't use any held items, however, neither can anyone else, meaning you won't have to worry about whether an opponent is holding a Lumberry or Focus or etc. The last thing I want to cover are bonus Pokemon. Now nothing will change on normal or easy mode, but in hard mode, all the important trainers will get 1 extra Pokemon on their team. In master mode however, all trainers get an extra Pokemon. Now obviously, this doesn't apply to trainers who already have a full team of 6. Finally, I'll be covering any changes that are related to Pokemon themselves, starting with cat traits. In easy mode, you get a multiplier of 2.5. In normal, nothing changes. In hard, you get a multiplier of 0.75, and in master mode, the catch rate is halved. Next up will be encounter rates. In easy and normal mode, nothing will change. In hard mode, you're 50% more likely to encounter a Pokemon, and in master mode, you're twice as likely to encounter a Pokemon. Now I also had an idea for rare encounters. Now what do I mean by rare encounters? I defined rare encounters as any Pokemon whose encounter rate is 5% or less. In easy mode, you're 1% less likely to encounter a rare Pokemon. Once again, nothing changes in normal mode. In hard mode, you're 3% more likely to encounter a rare Pokemon, and in master mode, you're 5% more likely to. Now the final thing I decided to change was repels. See, a lot of people don't know how repels actually work, and just assume that they repel all Pokemon, when in actuality, they repel all Pokemon who are a lower level than your lead Pokemon. With that explained, in normal and hard mode, they work as intended. In easy mode, they actually do repel all Pokemon, but in master mode, repels do not work at all, so have fun with that. And with that, we are done. Overall, I had some fun thinking of all the ways that Pokemon could be affected by difficulty, but let me know what you think down in the comments. I'd also love to see your own ideas for how difficulty could work at Pokemon. Also, if you have any video ideas that you want me to make in the future, be sure to let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend, and I will see you next time. See ya!